The wall clock ticked past 1 a.m., the quiet hum of the ceiling fan filling the small bedroom. Chitterloo sat on the edge of the bed, eyes half closed, when his wife, Adora, suddenly sat up, her face scrunched in a desperate frown. "Chitterloo," she groaned, clutching her swollen belly. "I want smoky party jollof rice. Right now." Chitterloo blinked, thinking he had misheard. "And it's the middle of the night. Everywhere is closed. Can't we wait until morning?" Adora glared at him, her voice sharp with the raw impatience of pregnancy. "No, it has to be now. The one with plenty of smoke flavor, soft beef, and fried plantain on the side. If you truly love me and this baby, you'll go." Chitterloo rubbed his face, muttering under his breath. A part of him wanted to argue, but he remembered the stories his friends told about dealing with pregnancy cravings. Adora's moods had been unpredictable lately. Last week she had cried because their neighbor's cat wouldn't come close to her. Tonight, she was ready to declare war over jollof rice. He slipped on a pair of jeans and a hoodie, grumbling, "If I get arrested for loitering, you better come and bail me out." Adora huffed dramatically, leaning back against her pillows. "Just go? My stomach is turning. The baby wants rice." Outside, the night air was cool and unusually quiet. Chitterloo started his old Toyota Corolla and drove toward Mama Yemi's food stand, the most popular buka in their neighborhood. When he arrived, the place was dark. He banged on the door a few times before Mama Yemi herself appeared in a wrapper, eyes heavy with sleep. "Chitterloo, my son, what is it?" she asked, squinting at him. "Mama, please, do you have any smoky party jollof left? My wife is pregnant, and she's craving it." Mama Yemi chuckled softly, shaking her head. This one is midnight walla. I finished cooking by 10 p.m. There's nothing left but stew." Chitterloo's shoulders slumped. "Stew won't work, Mama. She said it must be party jollof, the one with real smoke." "Then you need to try the buka near the motor park," Mama Yemi advised. "But hurry, even they might be closed by now." With renewed hope, Chitterloo drove to the motor park. The streetlights there flickered, and the night buzzed with the sound of distant generators. The buka was half open, but when he explained his mission, the cooks laughed at him. "See this man, one of them said, slapping his knee in amusement. "Pregnant wife sent you at this hour? We only have plain white rice and beans. No party jollof." The others joined in the laughter. "Odogu rice," one shouted mockingly. "That's what we'll call you from now on." Chitterloo forced a weak smile, trying to ignore the teasing. As he turned to leave, his phone buzzed. Adora's name flashed on the screen. "Where are you?" she demanded before he could speak. "I'm starving. You better not come home without that rice." Chitterloo sighed. "Babe, I've tried 2 places. Nothing. Let me check one more spot." "No excuses." She snapped and hung up. Frustrated, he sat in his car, running his hands through his hair. That's when he remembered his friend Obiora, a DJ who often played at late-night events. Maybe Obiora would know where he could find food. He dialed Obiora's number. "Guy, what are you doing awake?" Obiora answered groggily. "Obi, beg, help me. Adora wants smoky party jollof rice. I've checked everywhere. No luck." Obiora chuckled, fully awake now. Pregnancy cravings. You're in trouble, my guy. Lucky for you. I just finished a wedding gig at Nick Lake Resort. The after party is still going strong, and there's plenty of food left. If you come now, you'll get exactly what she wants." Chitterloo almost shouted with relief. "Obi, you're a lifesaver. I'm on my way." The drive to the resort took 30 minutes, and by the time he arrived, the parking lot was still packed. Laughter and music spilled from the hall, and colorful lights danced against the night sky. He walked toward the buffet table, carefully loading a plate with smoky jollof rice, beef, and fried plantain. Just as he reached for a takeaway container, a burst of laughter drew his attention. Across the room, his cousin, Arins, was dancing. No, grinding. Intimately with a woman Chitterloo recognized immediately, Madame Blessing, the pastor's wife. Chitterloo froze, his mouth slightly open. He blinked, hoping he was mistaken, but there was no doubt. Arin's hand was on Madame Blessing's waist, their faces far too close for it to be innocent. Before he could react, Arin spotted him. In an instant, Arin's cheerful expression darkened. He hurried over, his steps quick and threatening. "Chitterloo," he hissed, grabbing his arm. "You didn't see anything tonight. If you value your peace, keep your mouth shut." Chitterloo stared at him, stunned. Arin's, she's the pastor's wife. What are you doing? Arin's grip tightened. This is none of your business. Just get your rice and go home. Chitalu's heart pounded as he nodded. Fine. I won't say anything. Arin's released him slowly, eyes still sharp with warning. Good. Chitalu packed the rice quickly and rushed out, his mind racing. The whole drive home, he replayed the scene, torn between loyalty to family and his own conscience. When he walked back into the bedroom, Adora was sitting up, arms crossed. Finally, she exclaimed. Do you know how long I've been waiting? The baby is kicking like a drummer. Chitalu set the container down gently. Here, your Smoky party jollof rice. Adora opened it, inhaled deeply, and smiled for the first time that night. Perfect. You're the best husband ever. Chitalu forced a small smile, but inside, his chest was tight. He wanted to tell her what he'd seen, but exhaustion and fear silenced him. As she devoured the rice, he sat quietly, staring at the floor, knowing this secret could shatter more than one life. Morning sunlight filtered through the curtains, casting golden patterns on the bedroom wall. Adora hummed softly as she packed away the empty food container from the night before, her mood bright and cheerful now that her craving had been satisfied. Chitalu, on the other hand, sat on the edge of the bed, staring blankly at his phone. Sleep had eluded him. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Arin's hand sliding across Madame Blessing's waist, their bodies too close for comfort. Adora noticed his distant expression and frowned. Why are you so quiet this morning? You haven't even eaten breakfast. Chitalu forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Just tired, Inani. Driving around all night drained me. Adora chuckled lightly, rubbing her belly. My husband is now a hero. Odogu rice. That's what we'll call you. Going to battle at midnight to bring me Smoky party jollof. The nickname made Chitalu flinch. It was the same one those men at the buka had used to mock him. Don't start, Baiko, he said, attempting to laugh it off. As Adora left to rest, Chitalu's phone buzzed. It was Obiora calling. Guy, how far? Hope Adora liked the rice, Obiora said cheerfully. She loved it. Chitalu replied, lowering his voice. But Obi, something happened last night, something serious. Obiora immediately caught the change in tone. What is it? Chitalu hesitated before whispering. I saw Arin's at the resort. He was with Madame Blessing. Obi, they weren't just talking. They were dancing like lovers. Obiora let out a sharp whistle. Are you sure of what you saw? That's the pastor's wife you're talking about. I know what I saw, Chitalu said firmly. Arin's even threatened me to keep quiet. There was a long pause on the line before Obiora spoke again. Chitalu, you have to be careful. That kind of scandal can destroy families. If word gets out, the entire church and community will erupt. I don't plan to say anything, Chitalu said, though his voice wavered. But what if someone else saw them? Before Obiora could respond, Adaora's voice called from the bedroom, demanding more pillows. Chitalu quickly ended the call and went to assist her, but the heavy weight of what he'd witnessed stayed lodged in his chest. Later that afternoon, Chitalu stopped by his mother's house to deliver some vegetables. As he stepped through the gate, he was greeted by laughter and chatter from the living room. To his dismay, Arin's was there, lounging comfortably and joking with family members. Chitalu, Arin said loudly, standing to give him a hug. His smile was wide and practiced, his tone deceptively warm. Chitalu's stomach churned. Arin's, he replied stiffly. His cousin leaned closer, speaking low enough that only Chitalu could hear. Remember what I said last night? Not a word. Chitalu clenched his fists but forced a neutral expression. I remember. They joined the others, pretending everything was normal, but the air between them was taut, an invisible string stretched to its breaking point. 2 nights later, as Chitalu prepared to sleep, his phone vibrated violently on the nightstand. It was Obiora again, his voice breathless and urgent. Guy, you won't believe this. There's a video going around on WhatsApp of Arin's and Madame Blessing. Someone recorded them at the after-party. Chitalu's blood ran cold. What? Yes. They were dancing exactly like you described. The video is everywhere. People are already talking. Before Chitalu could respond, Adora walked in, holding her phone with wide eyes. Chitalu, look at this. Can you imagine? She played the clip for him. There was no mistaking it. Arin's face was clear, as was Madame Blessing's. Adora gasped dramatically. Who would do such a thing? This will destroy the pastor's reputation. Chitulu swallowed hard, trying to keep his face calm. It's terrible, he said softly. But Adaora's suspicion flared. She narrowed her eyes at him. Wait a minute. You were at that resort the same night, weren't you? Did you record this? Chitulu staggered backward, shocked. Me? Adora, how could you even think that? I was only there to get you rice. People are already whispering that someone close to the family leaked it. She pressed, her voice rising. If anyone finds out you were there, they'll blame you. Chitulu's heart thudded loudly in his chest. I swear, I didn't do it. Adora stared at him for a long moment, then looked away. You better hope the truth comes out, she muttered, sinking onto the bed. By morning, the video had spread like wildfire. Neighbors gathered in small clusters, whispering and pointing fingers. At church, members were openly discussing the scandal. That evening, Chitulu returned home to find a crowd waiting outside his gate. At the front was Arins, his face red with rage. There he is, Arins shouted, pointing at Chitulu. He's the one who recorded the video and ruined my life. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Chitulu raised his hands defensively. I didn't record anything. I only went to the resort to get food for my wife. Lies, Arins barked. You've always been jealous of me. Now you've exposed me to shame. Adora rushed out of the house, her round belly leading the way. She placed herself between the men. Stop this madness. My husband did nothing wrong. I sent him out that night because I was craving Smoky party jollof rice. She turned to the crowd. Would a man risking his life at 1 a.m. for his pregnant wife also be plotting scandal? The neighbors murmured amongst themselves, unsure whom to believe. Just then, Obiora arrived, waving his phone. Everyone listen. The truth is out. The person who recorded the video has confessed. He held up his screen to show a message. It was one of the waiters at the after-party. He sold the clip to a gossip blog for money. All eyes turned to Arins. His anger dissolved into embarrassment as he stammered. I didn't know. Chitulu exhaled shakily, relief flooding through him. The crowd began to disperse, some shaking their heads in disgust at Arins and Madame Blessing. Adora took Chitulu's hand and whispered, See? I told you the truth would come out. But even as peace returned, Chitulu couldn't forget the pain of being falsely accused, or the image of Arins' betrayal. The following morning, the community was buzzing like a disturbed beehive. Everywhere Chitulu went, whispers followed him. Some people smiled at him with newfound respect, while others gave him pitying looks. News of the video had traveled beyond their small neighborhood, reaching surrounding towns. At the church compound, Pastor Enoch stood before a restless congregation, his usually calm demeanor cracked by visible tension. Madame Blessing sat in the front row, her face covered with a scarf, refusing to meet anyone's eyes. Arins sat beside her, his head bowed, though whether in shame or defiance, no one could tell. My people, Pastor Enoch began, his voice trembling. You have all seen the evil that has been exposed. I am deeply grieved, not only as a pastor but as a husband. What happened is a betrayal of sacred vows. A hush fell over the room. Some women sniffled quietly, while the men shook their heads in disgust. Pastor Enoch continued, But before we condemn others, let us remember that temptation lurks in every heart. Let us pray for strength and healing. Chitulu sat at the back with Adora, feeling strangely detached from it all. He had been thrust into the center of this storm against his will, yet part of him was grateful that the truth had surfaced without him having to speak. As the service ended, some church members approached him, clapping him on the back. Odogu Rice, one man said warmly. Your wife is blessed to have a husband like you. Imagine driving out in the dead of night just to satisfy her craving. Another woman added with a knowing smile. You're a true example of love and sacrifice. May God bless your home. Chitulu forced polite smiles, though inside he felt uneasy. It seemed almost unfair that he was being praised while his cousin was publicly shamed. Later that day, Arins stormed into Chitulu's compound, his face twisted with anger. Adora, who was reclining on the porch, sat up immediately. You have some nerve coming here, she snapped. After accusing my husband in front of the whole neighborhood. Arins ignored her, glaring directly at Chitulu. You think you've won, eh? You sit there looking innocent while my name is dragged through the mud. Chitulu stood slowly, his voice calm but firm. Arins, you did this to yourself. I didn't record you. I didn't spread that video. I only went to that resort for my wife. Arin's eyes flickered, his anger battling with guilt. I trusted you, he spat. You were like a brother to me. You threatened me. Chitolu reminded him, his voice tightening. You grabbed me and told me to keep quiet, as if I was the one in the wrong. Do you know how that felt? For a moment, silence hung between them. Then Arins looked away, his shoulders sagging. Without another word, he turned and left, leaving behind a trail of tension that even Adeora's sharp words couldn't cut through. Days passed, and the video continued to spread. Madame Blessing's reputation crumbled, forcing Pastor Enoch to step down temporarily to address the scandal in private. Arin's own marriage began to unravel, his wife moving back to her family's home with their 2 children. Meanwhile, Chitala's life took an ironic turn. The same people who had mocked him at the buka now hailed him as a local hero. Strangers stopped him on the street, asking for advice on marriage and sacrifice. One evening, Mama Yemi called out to him as he passed by her food stand. Chitalu, come and taste my new jollof recipe. It's specially made for heroes like you. Chitalu laughed awkwardly. Mama, I beg, no more smoky party jollof for me. I've had enough for a lifetime. The bystanders burst into laughter, and the nickname, Odogu rice, stuck even more firmly than before. Adora, watching from their doorway, grinned proudly. See my husband, the celebrity, she teased. Chitalu rolled his eyes but couldn't hide a small smile. If only they knew the whole story, he muttered. One quiet night, as Adora rested her head on his shoulder, she spoke softly. You know, when I sent you out that night, I didn't realize how far you'd go for me. I was just hungry and emotional. But you went out there and faced so much, just to make me happy. Chitalu kissed her forehead. I'd do it again for you, and any. Even though that night changed everything, it also reminded me why we married, to stand by each other no matter what. Adeora's eyes shimmered with tears. I'm sorry for doubting you when the video first came out. It's okay, Chitalu said, holding her close. We all react out of fear sometimes. They sat in comfortable silence, the kind that only comes after surviving a storm together. Months later, during a community event, Pastor Enoch addressed the crowd again. Madame Blessing was absent, having traveled to live with her relatives in another state. Arin stood at the edge of the gathering, avoiding everyone's gaze. Pastor Enoch cleared his throat. Though this season has been painful, it has also revealed who truly stands firm. Chitalu, you have shown patience, integrity, and devotion. We honor you today. The crowd erupted in applause. Chitalu felt a mixture of pride and humility as he stepped forward. Thank you, he said, his voice steady. I'm no hero. I'm just a husband trying to take care of his wife and unborn child. I hope this reminds us all that even small actions can lead to big consequences. The crowd nodded in agreement, some wiping their eyes. As the event ended, Adora leaned close and whispered, See? You've become a legend, my Odogu rice. Chitala chuckled, shaking his head. Let's just get home before someone sends me out for another midnight mission. Adora laughed so hard she nearly doubled over, clutching her belly. The moral of this story is simple yet profound. Love requires sacrifice, but honesty and trust are the true pillars of a strong relationship. A single choice, like a late-night trip for jollof rice, can unearth hidden truths and force people to confront who they really are. In life, storms will come, and secrets may shake even the strongest families, but patience and integrity will always lead to peace. So, as you reflect on Chitalu's journey, remember to cherish those who stand by you, forgive when possible, and speak truth even when it's difficult. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment below with the lessons you've learned.